First, live, local. This is Fox 12 Now.
Hello, everyone. I'm Greg Nibbler. This is Fox 12 Now, coming to you with breaking news regarding an incident in Northeast Portland where 3 people have been killed. The incident occurred when a car hit a branch. The branch pulled down a live wire, an electrical wire, onto the car. And it's being reported that there were 2 adults and a teenager in the car that all decided to get out of the car, at which point they were electrocuted. There was a 2-year-old that was in the vehicle that has survived and is at the hospital. So this is a lot of information that I'm giving you right now. We have reporters who have been out on the scene. This is the imagery that we received back of the vehicle itself. And as you can see, the branches on there, there is a wire coming across through the back. And this is something that is a developing story, but this is where we're at right now. Here's some other footage from Connor McCarthy here from Fox 12 Oregon as he was out there earlier today. That's on a loop. Another image there from Drew Marine, who also was out there at this incident. So that is what occurred. Again, 3 people killed, and the 2-year-old reported to be in the hospital, not impacted, did survive. So this is the breaking news that we're going to be talking about later today at our 4 p.m. news conference or our 4 p.m. newscast as well. But in the meantime, I wanted to bring on an expert, and that's who's joining us right now, to talk about incidents like this and what to do in that situation should you find yourself in it when it comes to downed power lines, which we see all over the metro area right now with this ice storm and everything else that's happened since then. So thank you very much. I've got Eddie Littlefield from Forest Grove Light and Power joining us right now. And Eddie, I really appreciate having your time today to talk about this. I know it's such a tragic situation that occurred, and that's why we really wanted to get this information out as well, to talk about what to do if someone is out there and encounters this kind of situation.
Oh, and thank you guys. We love the opportunities we have to talk about safety, especially safety around power lines. This is one of those things where it's such a tragic incident. In this particular incident, the best thing we could have done is just stayed in the vehicle. Things that's protecting you. There's things such as the tires that insulate you from these types of things. But we always want to emphasize to just stay away from down power lines and make sure that you're nowhere near them. You're not the expert. Please stay away. Allow people to be there. And I think important to that is to report these things as fast as you can to professionals that can take care of it. If you happen to see people with down power lines or something like this going on, keep others away. Yeah, you can be a great assistance by making sure if you see something reported and then make sure everyone around you is safe so that no one else has any incidents. One of the most important things we can stress is to touch nothing. You know not what you're touching. It can be very, very tragic. It can be hazardous. So please stay away and let people take care of it. One of the things that we always stress is you never know what's energized and what's not energized. You can't smell it. You can't see it. And so it's one of those things where you have to treat everything as if it's energized. We always have a saying, we never touch it until it's isolated and grounded. If you think about electricity, it's like lightning. It's trying to find the best path to ground. Your body is the perfect path to ground. So once that you make contact, it's going to find that path through you. And it's just one of those things. It's tragic. It's awful. And it's one of the things that we see in the industry quite a bit. So please be safe around power lines. Report it. Call somebody, let people take care of it. 911 will get us any one of our power utility crews out there. So please do whatever it takes to report this and keep others safe in these types of situations.
And with so many of these incidents as far as down power lines occurring right now, I think, because I want to talk about specifically this incident with the car, but also just in general, as people are seeing this with trees specifically pulling down lines all over the place. If you see a down power line, is there a certain distance you need to be away from? Is there a sound you're going to hear that the wire is hot? Like, what is that experience like, and what are the circumstances when you do encounter a down power line?
So I think it really important is to understand your and situation awareness. Look around, look up, especially with the trees and the situations we find ourselves. Trees and ice and water, all those things are conductors, and those conductors pull the electricity to the ground and can pull it down through you. If you happen to see anything in a power line, any tree, make sure and report that, to not even in situations like this storm, but anytime you see that. We want to hear about those things. We have crews that address those daily to make sure that those lines aren't in, those trees aren't in the lines. So in this situation, it's just really important that you have the situation awareness and know what's around you. And things change quickly, especially with the ice and the different, things that we're seeing right now. As things change, we have to make sure we're paying attention to everything around us so that we keep ourselves safe and those around us also.
And so I get is the main thing is just stay away from that line, obviously, whether you know
Correct.
whether it's hot or not, just to stay back and away from that.
Yeah, those 5 points is to stay away, report the situation, keep others away, don't touch anything, and wait for professionals. If you do those things, you can be safe around the things that keep our power on. So making sure that you do those things and keep those in mind as you walk around, especially during these storms. People want to be out; they've been cooped up, but make sure that if you see anything that you report it and stay away.
And in an incident like this specifically, where it's reported that this car hit a branch of some kind or a branch fell onto them, pulling that power line down over the car, what are the important things that people need to know about being in a car that does have a live power line draped over it?
The best thing you can do is stay in the car. It sounds crazy to think that that wouldn't be the safest thing, but it is. Those tires are protecting you. They're insulating you from that voltage. You're kind of like a bird on a wire, if you want to say, just because it's keeping you safe with those tires. We have a lot of protective devices that are built into our systems. We have relay protection that protects you from when you hit a car hits a pole and the wires come down on you, but they don't always work. They're not 100%. So that's why we make sure that if we report something, our guys have equipment that come up. They know how to approach those things. They can sense whether or not a line is energized or not using the equipment and the training that they have at their disposal.
Is there anything if you are in a car and this does happen, so this specific situation, and I will show this footage just to give the context of what we're talking about here with that line draped over. If for the occupants of that car, would they have heard the power line? Is there an audible way or anything that you would feel to know that that is live?
No, it's one of those things, and that's what makes electricity such a tough thing is you can't really see it, you can't hear it, you won't smell it. It's just one of those things that you'll hear there. You might have heard a buzz or anything that was going on, but it's very rare, especially because it happens so fast. And that's what makes this such a difficult thing. As soon as you step out of the car, you become the new path for that electricity to flow, but from the line to the ground. And you become the conductor, you become the piece of wire. And that's what's so difficult about it. So staying in the car and letting the crews get that wire de-energized and protected and grounded and safe will let you to get out of that vehicle quickly. But a lot of the times we can do that remotely through relay protection. So please stay in the car.
And I think that's it's so important. I really appreciate you bringing this information to and sharing that because honestly, that's something that I wasn't aware of either, of whether or not you would be able to hear the line if it was live. And so I think the bottom line is if something like this happens and you do have a power line, assume that that is live. Do not get out of the car unless you absolutely have to. And that was one other question just to follow up. And I don't think this is the situation in this instance, but it is something we were discussing here is say you are in an accident and there's something with the vehicle that requires you to get out. It's on fire or something like that. If that were the case, is there a way you can jump to get out of the vehicle or in that specific instance if you absolutely had to get out?
There isn't. I mean, it's just one of those difficult situations because of something called step potential. It would be nearly impossible to get out. That's what makes it tough. But that's where our protective devices that we have on our lines would protect you because it would see the current. This is a tragic situation because it sounds like as they stepped out, it was still energized because it didn't create enough fault current to trip the relays. And I'm not saying that's what happened, but that's typically what protects you from that. But because of the storm, because of the tree, it became the perfect situation for this to happen. I mean, it's tragic and it's just one of those things that you would hope wouldn't happen. But again, it was the perfect storm per se for this situation to happen with the storm around us.
Man, and absolutely tragic is 100% the accurate way to describe this. Is there anything else that you think people should know about this? I mean, you've certainly shared the 5 points, the 5 different ways that 5 different things that people should think about, what to do when you encounter this. But is there anything else that people should know, just whether it's right now with all of this storm or just regardless around power lines?
Yeah, it's again knowing and understanding your situational around awareness. Know what's around you. Know what's above you before you walk into anything. Take a peek. Look, especially in storms, especially even when you're playing with your kids. A kite. I've seen balloons cause issues. I've seen so many things over my career where people just didn't understand what was taking place. Mylar balloons, whether that's a kite, anything, a tree that's been, nice and wet and it's pushed into a power line and then you touch that tree. All of those things are just understanding your situation and your awareness around everything that's above you and below you. So I think it's an opportunity to educate ourselves and try to protect people in the future. Um, Again, you never want to see these sorts of things, but what can we learn from it? And I think if more people were to understand, then maybe somebody could be protected in the future.
Well, Eddie, excuse me, thank you very much, for joining us. I really appreciate your information and your expertise in sharing that. This is an absolutely tragic situation, and I think education and learning is about, something that can come of this, at least to know in the future should somebody encounter a situation like this or anything even relevant to this when it comes to power lines and electricity. And thank you, very much for being here to share this with us.
You're welcome. And again, this is opportunities to learn.
Absolutely. Eddie, thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you.
So again, for everybody joining for this broadcast, if you did miss the beginning of it, this all stems from a report that 3 people were killed in Northeast Portland. Their vehicle, somehow a tree fell onto the vehicle and pulled a power line down onto it. 3 of the occupants decided to get out, and they were electrocuted upon leaving there, upon trying to get out of the vehicle. And a 2-year-old was also in the vehicle. The 2-year-old is reportedly at the hospital, but okay. That's as far as the information that I have right now. We are getting more information currently. We'll have more updates at our 4 p.m. news. We have reporters out there talking to everybody and getting more on this situation. But again, tragic certainly describes this. And that's why we wanted Eddie on here as well, just to talk about some of the different ways that you can help to, if you do encounter something like this, at least know what to do. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. I appreciate your time. I'm Greg Nibbler. This is Fox 12 Now.